You're listening to JW Raw with Eminem.
Welcome to the show, Jackson Wink, friends, fans, and family. On our show today, we have Dr. Anita with Fierce Nutrition.
Hello.
She is our in-house nutritionist, works in conjunction with Heather Winklejohn. How you doing?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Very well.
Doing good.
Surviving the holidays?
Yeah.
Holidays, man. Some people get so depressed during holidays. There's so much extra stress and stuff, and other people thinks it's the greatest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah. I used to be stressed when I was younger about it, and now I'm just like, yeah, it's awesome. Have a good time.
Yeah.
You know? And plus, around here, there are so many fights.
Exactly.
We're all stressed out about the upcoming fights. We're like,
Speaking of, let's jump right into it. We got some big fights coming up, namely...
Don't we always?
Namely Holly.
It's like, enough already, man. Let me not stress out, man. Like this, I think, gives me high blood pressure every weekend.
Me and Dr. Anita were out in the hallway earlier, so make sure our prescriptions of Xanax are up to date.
You're kidding. I get so nervous watching them.
Oh, it is.
It's
horrible.
It's funny because I used to always get nervous watching them, but now that I know the fighters, it's just nerve-wracking.
And that's the thing.
Likewise.
We get that personal connection with them through the gym now, and you take it a lot more personal, and the wins and the defeats, you take them more personal because it's
your family, man. It's,
exactly.
and that's...
And that's what we do. We work together all the time, every day. You see these guys; they become,
they're like my little kids. I listened to I heard part of the podcast with Maurice. And that was like the best compliment in the world when they said, I was like their mom. Because I am. They're like my kids here. I do. Because
they said nothing but good stuff about you.
Yeah,
I just want to keep them helping.
I think you just go, you just go out helping them, man. And I know it. And I remember with Yana, like you'll go to the store and pick up some things for them and help them cook and do this thing.
Yeah, there's this whole thing in with nutrition, which is I'm going off rabbit trail here. But one of the big challenges just in general when you're talking about nutrition and health is, and it's a real problem, and I don't know that anyone has the solution to it, is that often the people with the least, resources need the best nutrition. And I'm talking about like when I worked outside of the fighting realm, just, that's actually how I met Heather, was we worked for an early intervention program. And you have these families that really want to do better, and they need the most nutrition out of all of, the people out there, and they just don't have the resources for it. And so when I'm in a position where I can help,
I remember
I have to do it.
I think Heather bringing you on board was probably the best thing that ever happened to this team, to be honest with you.
Aww.
And I'm not just saying.
Well, she was really talking you up before you actually started. She was talking about how you'd be a great asset to the team.
She's awesome.
And by the way,
Heather
is Coach Wink's
Coach Winklejohn's wife.
Heather Winklejohn.
And my cohort, my partner in crime.
Pretty much the boss.
So let's back up.
The boss.
Let's back up just a little bit and tell us what do you do for the gym exactly? What's your actual purpose and position?
Purpose and position. I think primarily what I do is try to provide some nutritional guidance for the fighters. And it can, I've taught some classes, and there's some people that got a lot out of the classes and were able to take the little bit of nuggets that I provided and have changed their lifestyle. For a lot of them, though, I would say probably at this point, it'd be about 80% of the fighters that I work with is more overseeing the weight management for a weight cut. I have probably the remaining 20% is going to be, I have some that are working to go up in weight classes. So I work with them on helping them build muscle, not fat. Because, if you want to gain weight, that's fine, but you want to make sure that it's muscle and not, a ton of fat. Right. And then there's some that just come for performance. They just want to be healthy. They don't have to worry too much about cutting weight because off season they're so lean anyway, but they just want a little more for performance.
I remember when you did those classes, there was incredible participation in it, and because of your classes, the guys started getting your name out there and name recognition, and so they started using you full time for their weight management stuff, and now here we are. Almost, what's it been, a year now? Or
it's actually been, it'll be 2 years.
It is 2 years, okay.
It'll be 2 years in January.
Wow, so there you go. So it's
I know,
2
time
years.
flies.
And your record, you still got a 100% success rate with your.
I actually,
with your weight cuts.
as far as I know.
That's something totally cool to brag about. Yeah.
So, well, you know, I mean, I guess brag. I don't know. I mean, you know, you guys know me. I'm like, but you know, all I can do is provide, you know, information based on the limited info they give me or they don't give me. And, you know, I got to say it's totally nerve-wracking. I mean, my job, as far as I see it, is it's not so much getting them to the cut. That's 50%. You know, the other half is making sure that they're recovered. And we've noticed, especially this last year, there have been some big headlining fights where the people made the weight, men and women, you know, they made weight, but then
nothing
recovered.
To do with us. Nothing to do with you.
Yeah, no, nothing to do with us.
But yeah, other high profile stuff.
But I think that this is, and you know, when you're talking about rapid weight loss, which has always been a big issue in the wrestling community as far as sports nutritionists are concerned and that kind of stuff, because it's just some of the cutting protocol is just atrocious. But it's been done for, you know, decades and decades. You know, it's kind of like, well, it used to work. You know, it worked for me, it'll work for you. Yeah. But yeah, so you can get them to the scale, but the question is, can they get to the fight, and can they get to the fight and feel good? Right. Because, you know, and there are a lot of variables that go into play. I mean, you have age, hormone, flight. You know, if they're flying halfway across the world, you know, are they sick? Are they not sick? What's their media schedule like? Do they get rest? And then you have, do they actually follow the plan?
Right. Yeah, some of these guys are killing themselves, you know, with I mean, in the news, Cyborg with her famous video of her on the ground just cutting so much, and Habib with his, you know, he almost killed himself doing weight cuts.
Joanna recently.
The videos of her coming out.
It's just crazy, man, how people blame everyone but themselves too. It's most of the times, you know. That's crazy. But we I guess we're very proud of having, in a way of, you know, statistically, with all the people you worked, we have 100% weight cut ratio, right?
Yeah, we do.
And this is like, you know, it's not something we're making up. It's like that's true. You know? So it's like, I mean, that's why I think you know, people need to look at certain things in a way where there's other different systems, you know, that people use, and a different understanding that people have, like yourself.
Well, you know, and I think what probably may be different than probably some other places is that, you know, and I'm not disparaging anybody, but, you know, this has never been about me, and it's never been about, you know, Heather trying to build our own name and do our own thing. And I'm not begrudging people who are out there, you know, who have companies and are, you know, that's what they do, and that's fine. This has always been about taking Jackson Wink and how can we, in our own way, make it better. You know what I mean? Which is, how do you make Jackson Wink better? But, you know, and because of that, we have more of a team, family type perspective where, you know, I mean, Coach Wink, if I'm working with one of his fighters, we're communicating all the time. You know, and I'll constantly say, hey, okay, you know, they're telling me this, how they're feeling, how are they really doing in the ring? Or, you know, are you seeing, and sometimes it's in sync, and other times what they've told me is not what he's seeing, so we adjust accordingly. And I think when you have that teamwork, just from my perspective, it makes my job a lot easier. Because the hard thing is when I have someone, and, you know, I put together a plan that I think is going to work with their training schedule, and they add stuff or they take stuff away or they do whatever. I'm like, well, how are you feeling? How are you doing? They're like, oh, yeah, I'm good. You know, because they just train and they're used to working through certain levels of being uncomfortable. And I talked to Coach Wink. He's like, well, they're kind of slow in this area, so we modify it.
So I guess you go ahead.
Yeah, I think communication is very important.
Oh, yeah.
In this sense, like in any other field, you know, and I think we'll have that down to the T. But you know what I really like about your philosophy, because, I mean, I've been in the MMA world for a while, too, and it just recently people starting to understand that, you know, you don't have to starve yourself to make weight. And that's what the major thing is. It's like you see people literally almost dying making to the scale. Like you'll see videos and people end up in hospitals and stuff like that. I mean, I used to cut weight, too, and it was just so nasty, like the feeling you have, and in your philosophy, your system, the way you do it is just you actually eat more, but it's you eat more, you make weight, and you recover better, and it's like you're not dying through the process that people get used to.
But it's hard. It's hard for these guys. Yeah.
How do you find that medium? Like, this is crazy, because how you know the body so well that it allows you to feed these guys and have them feel
So
good before and after.
Yeah, so I think what's different with me is, and actually I don't know, because I don't really know anybody else that kind of does what I do. I mean, I've been to certain websites where you plug in info and it spits out some generic plan, which is fine. But I think what maybe sets me apart slightly is that I actually go on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis with my fighters. And so I will sit down and say, okay, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, what are you doing? Where are you working? What are you doing? How many times are you training? And then I change it weekly, because what you can't do is you can't just go by some generic plan that's, oh, okay, 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens is people are like, well, what'd you do? Well, I did this. So they do it, and it doesn't have the same response in their body. They're like, well, this is crap. It doesn't work. Well, not necessarily. It just didn't work for your particular body, or even that particular time, of your training. Because I've had fighters where they've worked with me for multiple camps, and we've actually had to adjust each camp slightly. Nothing major, but we still, we tried what worked the last time, and it's like, oh, wait, we got to switch it up a little bit, because for whatever reason, your body's not responding that way. And so I look at their overall daily consumption and daily caloric expenditure and say, okay, here's the baseline of what you're going to need just to function. And then we kind of figure out where they are as far as how much they need to lose. I look at their body fat ratio, because that'll tell me a lot. Do I have somebody who has like single digit body fat and we got to lose 20 pounds? That's a completely different strategy than someone who is a guy who's in double digits and has more body fat to lose. We have to kind of tweak it out and change it. And I think that's really kind of what perhaps might set us apart differently, is that it's very, very individualized, and I change it every week. I mean, you can talk to any of these guys.
No, I know. I've been through your process, because like all the Russian fighters and any other fighters that need help, that I help translate and set them up. I know. I know how your process starts and where it ends, and how you follow up with them every day and check on them, and they bring up like if they have any issues, or like in the way it's like, well, kind of feeling weak through training, you just adjust it on the fly. Yeah. And it's funny, like the computer system, when like where you said, because I remember when I started to, there was like this companies that would have like you said, on the website, you register, you pay whatever, $300 or whatever, and you put your information, and it spits out this generic, meal plan and stuff. And it's just like, really,
which I think for non-athletes, that for a general population, that could possibly work, and that's necessarily really a bad system, because I worked for, I've been doing this since 2003. And so, I've worked with the general population. And so those kind of programs, I think, can give good kind of parameters. But when you're dealing with athletes, it's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother ball game that you're dealing with. And, you brought up a good point, which is the performance aspect of it. Because it's, like I said, making weight is half the battle. I think for a long time, people kind of were just always like, dude, if I can just make weight, I'm good, I'm golden. But I've talked to a lot of guys, and pretty much every one of them that I've spoken to has an example of they went in the ring and like they gassed out the second round, or they could just, and they may have won, but they could still tell. They're like, yeah, man, my performance just was not on it. I could, And so, my job is to make sure that they're feeling
I'm
awesome.
Happy I won, but it wasn't my best performance.
Yeah. The hard part of the guy, it's funny because the guys are actually a lot, for the most part, more difficult. You men, it's got to be that Y chromosome. But so. I've had some fighters that you're asking, the mental part of it, where it's really hard to get them to eat. And it was particularly one, and he's kind of like my cheerleader now, but it was a stretch for him. It was a walk of faith.
They used to starve him.
He was totally used to starving himself.
And you tell me I have to eat. I'm never going to make weight, man. Yeah. I was like, listen, just shut the hell up.
Yeah, this one guy, I think he was eating like 1,200 calories a day. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, wow. And I doubled it, and he freaked out. He was just like,
I can't eat all this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, you just got to trust me. You just trust me on this.
I remember with Yana, she came to you literally. She was struggling so bad that
the first time,
UFC champion. Remember that?
Yeah, first time.
You picked her up literally a week before.
Yeah.
you know, like 10 days
Talk about
before.
pressure.
Yeah, that was
and
a
she's like,
okay.
I need help, you know, and you started actually feeding her.
Oh yeah, she was starving. She was starving.
Okay,
and
prove yourself. There you go.
She
Yeah.
made weight, and she recovered, and she just
Yeah,
You
that one was hard because her coach was. It's much easier when the coach is on board, you know. And I think again that goes back to my whole the comment about being a family because you know Coach Wink has. I mean, I had to prove myself. Obviously, we all do with Coach Wink and Coach Jackson, but you know they realize
She had a different coach.
I do
back
know what I'm
then
talking
who's-
about.
Who's
Yeah,
no longer with her. Yeah.
and he was like, "What are you telling
she
her
was
to do?"
he was
Like
lit-
she's starving.
Yeah, he was the old
but
school.
He was
Yeah.
actually
Oh yeah.
Old school.
he was
way.
actually literally starving her.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He was starving her. Yeah.
And then you wonder why you know your performance sucks, and then you have the whole issue of make yourself susceptible to injuries and everything else. And so
they
what's
train 3, 4, 5 times a day, man.
Oh, yeah.
How can you not eat, man? Like even being a normal person, if you don't eat, you like you'll fall down and crumble and
dude,
just like
it's hard. And then you have the whole carbs are bad thing, which just makes my head want to turn around and spin. But
So, kind of on that note, yeah, you and Heather Wink are in the same office back there, but you guys do two separate roles. And Heather, I know she does like the scientific end where she'll get blood samples and send it to a lab, and they find like infections in foods.
I have a story on that.
And so I know we've
Like
both
we all
done it.
do.
Yeah, we've both
I've done
done
it
that.
too, yeah.
And it says that you know you should stay away from this. You should stay away from this food, you know, and
I'll pull it
and
up.
you
I have that
can
card on
tailor.
my carry with the
So
years.
once you get
Yeah.
those results back from her, you're able to tailor.
Yeah, we
the
tag
diet
team.
to
that's my girl. We tag team a lot. So Heather does a lot of her kind of area of expertise is working with food sensitivities.
yeah.
And hopefully you guys can bring her on and she can tell you all about what she does.
We will,
'Cause
100%.
I wouldn't,
It's
I
in the
would not
plan.
do it, justice. But we work together because again, everybody's body, in certain respects, everybody's body functions the same. We all need the certain basic elements. But then on the other hand, everybody's body is totally individually different. And food sensitivities is kind of, I mean, for those of us who are like nutrition nerds, we've known about it for a long, long time, but it's kind of getting a lot more mainstream press of, you know, your body can have reactions to different food compounds or chemicals or whatever that aren't necessarily allergic, in which you have some histamine response or anything like that, but it's still causing some, you know, unease in your body. And it can manifest in, you know, from everything from rashes to headaches to congestion or puffiness, water retention. And so a lot of times, you know, when I'm doing the intake on a fighter and they start telling me, you know, they have certain things going on when they eat and they're not regular, because I get into all that fun stuff, then I'll say, hey, I think, you know, you might want to talk to Heather and we might want to check out. And every time, man, I mean, so far, you know, we were talking about like 100% of my people making weight. Pretty much every single time I've sent someone over to her, sure enough, there's been something that has been a trigger.
that they're
and when they
eating,
pull it out, all of a sudden, and in some of them, it's like they'll lose 5 pounds. You know, the puffiness goes away, the water, you know, bloat and all of that.
Yeah,
so.
it's a fascinating
Let
thing.
Yeah.
me let me be a testimonial to this, okay? All right. So this is my little story and how much I stand behind it. And I'll tell you, Heather and Anita probably saved my life on multiple occasions. And I'm not saying because you're here, just you're truly two of the most wonderful ladies that we have here. That if I go to and I talk to whenever I'm down or I'm having issues, or it's either medical stuff or personal stuff, the way you approach it, the way you talk about it, just for some reason just elevates me to a different level. And just like I truly believe everything that you say, and then the outcome actually is a testament to that the type of people you are and how it works. That's why it's like I always, Anita, you know, I'll call
You can
you,
make
I'll
me
call
cry.
Heather. No, it's seriously,
Yeah, but it's true.
I'd cry talking about it. Like literally, I'm thinking about it, and it's true. I wish there were more people like that. To be honest with you. So yeah.
So you got your card?
Yeah, I have my card here.
It's
So
my wallet.
I was at one point, you know, and Mark is
3 years ago when we
yeah, when we started, like, and you know, I'm heavy into jiu-jitsu, I'm heavy into training, and I train with these guys all the time, and I would religiously get sick, like for every month. Seriously, like I would get sick. You know my story.
Yep.
I'll get sick for at least a week with same symptoms, the respiratory system, if I say right, and just miserable time every month. Like it would never fail. Same
remember.
thing. It will start the same way, like congestion, this and that. Like I'm suffering, things like that. So that's when I found out about that blood test for food sensitivity, you know. So I went to Heather, you know, and I remember I was talking to her every day about this, guys, what's happening to me? Like, it's freaking me out. So I did that test, you know. I did that test, and since that test, and Mark knows, he'll be remember always, he thought like some definitely wrong with me, man. And I thought it was wrong with me, but and then what's it? How long has it been? A year, something or something?
Yeah, it's been
I haven't gotten sick once.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I haven't
didn't know
gotten
that.
sick. Well, Heather,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
pretty amazing.
I haven't gotten sick once. Period. So what happened is I took this test. We sent it out to this company called Oxford Clinical Laboratory in Florida, West Palm Beach. I guess it's a company I had to work with. So I sent my blood in. And then they send the package
Some
over.
doctors analyze it over there.
Yeah,
do
they
some-
analyze it. And then they send you this card that tells you exactly what food sensitivities you are. And I was at the point where, like, I mean, like, I'm sensitive to corn, and I'm sensitive to coffee, coconut, you know, and lamb and pineapple, the things that I would eat nonstop.
time,
Like
yeah.
I love lamb. Like, I would eat lamb every day. So, and I took everything out at that point, like everything out. And one of the things was also like coffee. The only thing that Heather let me keep, because I tried to go 2 days without coffee, and I had headaches, and I was freaking out, and I was like, something, let me keep something. So she allowed me a cup a day of coffee, and then she said that after, you know, you see how you do after 6 months, you can start reintroducing some of these things into your system, like lamb, tomato, zucchini, all that stuff. So now I started a little, you know, bringing it back little by little. I'm not getting sick.
Can you tell? Have you introduced something back, and your body's like, get out?
Not really, no.
Because I did it with one.
A lot of things here I still refuse to eat. Just the things that I really crave, which was lamb, tomato, and coffee. It's the only things that. Everything else I really don't care, and I don't even want to introduce them because I don't care about them. But what I'm saying is that this is a lifesaver to me. I stand by this. I stand by Heather. I stand by you, like till day I die. Because this really, I don't know, like small things like this matter, I guess.
But they do matter.
But
I mean, they do matter, especially if you're not feeling good and your body's.
Oh my God, that was
and you have all of these
miserable.
funky things going on, and they don't even have to be like massive. They can just be like little tiny low grade things that are just, it's like that drip of water that's just constantly going on. And you're like, why do I feel bad? Why am I tired all the time? Why am I congested? Why am I this?
And the way Heather explained it is also like, because all these foods and food sensitivities, they affect your immune system. So it's like, it's not like it happens overnight. It builds up in your system. You know, like with, say, I'll get sick, I'll recover, you know, I'll still keep doing the same thing. And then I start eating the same stuff that I wasn't aware that I'm not supposed to be eating. And it builds up. And keep in mind, that's not actually allergies. People might sometimes confuse allergies to food sensitivities.
Yeah.
Because allergy is a different thing. Like I have allergy to seafood, but you know, this is for actual things that affect your immune system in blood.
And see, he was a big success story because he was sick, and he was trying to get to the bottom of what's making him sick, and I took it more out of curiosity reasons to see, okay, what's it going to say about me? And of course, I get my results back, and it said no pinto beans, no tortillas, no
for Mexican,
He's like,
no cheese,
New Mexican nightmare.
So basically, I can't eat a burrito. And I eat a burrito every day. I mean,
And he kept telling me every day, he's like, there's no way I'm going to do the test. No way. They're going to tell me I can't have pizza, I can't have this, I can't have this. She's like, no way.
But I don't eat salad, so I said I can't eat lettuce. So I said, well, see, there you go. I'm going to cut that lettuce out. So I got a little, but then Heather, she yells at me. You got to take greens somehow. I mean, if you're not going to eat your greens, you got to do it.
Got to work on that, Mark.
Got to do something. So she gave me the barley.
Heather would call or ask all the time, how's Mark doing? This guy would walk in with like a monster can every day with like 50 grams of sugar, and then one day with that, next day with a big ass Red Bull bottle.
But I cut those out.
It's good because I was on your ass, man. I'm like,
baby steps.
Exactly. I don't know if I'm going to cut the burritos out yet, though. So.
Just taper them down a little bit. Baby steps. Baby steps.
But I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything.
Oh, man.
For everything you do.
Well, thanks for trusting me. Because but it's huge. It is a trust, especially it's kind of like, and I kind of came in, no one knew who I was. I mean, Heather knew me, and so I had a history with Heather, and and she'd read my book, so she kind of knew I knew what I was talking about. But even with Coach Wink, it was okay. We're going to give him a shot. It's something that you've said many times on this show, which is so true. It's just the heart of this place is. This is a place where they will give you a chance.
100%.
You got to prove yourself. If you don't have the goods, see ya. But
you got to take it serious.
Yeah, and when it comes to food, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a real big deal with
like
people.
This.
Yeah, and getting people to trust, and even a lot of my clients, I always thank them because I know if they've never worked with me before, it's huge because this is every fight is a big fight. It doesn't matter if it's for a championship belt or not. Every single fight for a fighter is huge.
Yeah, because it's a step towards their next goal.
Exactly.
Because that will determine. It's like taking the test. It's like you take the test, you fail, you pass.
Yeah.
If you fail, you'll be back to ground zero. You have to freaking restudy and redo the thing and go for the test again.
Yeah.
Every fight is a test.
And it's a big deal, and I understand that. And so I really appreciate these fighters when they trust me, and I don't care if they're amateur or pro champion. It doesn't matter to me.
Equally, I've noticed that.
I think Winklejohn's Coach Wink and Heather, I think they possess a certain quality about them in the way that they attract people in a certain way that they do things.
And they are good people.
Yeah, they do the right things. They find a way to surround themselves with good people.
They find the right people to join their team that have specialties.
There was one time I remember I was watching Coach Wink's interview where he says, "I'm just so fortunate enough that just good people fall in my lap." They're just I love him saying that.
Yeah, but you reap what you sow because those two people are true. And I have met a lot of people in my day, and they are truly remarkable. They are two of the most genuine, kind individuals I've ever had the pleasure of knowing.
I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for them.
They're amazing.
I mean,
so
I don't know.
They invite you into their house.
I can talk about it hours and hours about them. But,
well, let's shift topics a little bit because I want a funny little thing is social media. We talk about social media all the time here.
It drives us nuts. People are crazy out there.
We're very active with our social media, as you know.
Y'all dragged me
and you
into that.
You started one a while back, and make sure you follow Dr. Anita on her Instagram. It's pretty awesome. She's Dr. Anita on Instagram. Follow her. But one thing that's really cool about you is you're not posting a whole lot of stuff, but when you do post, it's usually attacking some troll that is attacking our gym, and you do it in such a fashion that just makes them scurry away back into their hole, and you do it in a way that's awesome, and it's cool.
You guys dragged me into that. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can do social media. No, you gotta do it. So I did. Yeah, the funny one was the John post, and I was like, because I'm pretty. I try to when I post, there's so much darkness in the world, good gracious. I try to just be light and encouraging, and because we're all going through stuff, and there's just so much crap out there that you have to deal with,
digest.
But man, when they started. Right.
We take our athletes very. We protect them, and when they were attacking John, you stepped up and you did. You put your 2 cents in, and you did it from a scientific aspect or from a clinical aspect, and it made total sense. And people shut up, and
some didn't, but they were pretty funny. They were making me laugh.
You're the troll slayer. Yeah, we got to come up with some kind of code name for you, like Troll Slayer or something. But yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's a whole different world out there.
What stopped you from doing the social media? You just can't. You're not the type that wants to be on. You're kind of like Coach Wink. You can't be attached to your phone or.
It's just I don't know. I've always been kind of like. I don't want to say been behind the scenes because I'm used to talking in front of people, and I've talked in front of crowds of thousands of people before. But I've just never been like, oh, look at me, and and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's just not me. I would just prefer for other people to say, hey, look at Dr. Anita instead of
So
me
you just-
to look at it. But I can remember having this conversation with both of you, and you guys, especially Misha, man, he was like, we have got to get you on Instagram. And I was like, but it's not, I don't want to do it. And he's like, no, we'll get you an account. I'm setting it up, and we'll get Mark to run it. But I actually, and because you were talking about, we need to get the program out. And I
Yes.
realized, for us to be able to talk about, Jackson Week Nutrition Program, there has to be a vehicle to do that. And it
Well,
was
you're
actually
still talking to thousands of people. You're just doing it on social media.
Exactly. But Rama was actually the one that was the tipping, because he wanted to do a big post
To thank you. Yeah,
to
I
thank
remember
me,
that.
and he would not do it. He's like, I will not do it until you get on. I'm like, just go ahead and do it, and just do it to Jackson Week. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it till
It's not the same.
I was like, okay.
I wonder how we lived
So-
back in the day when there was nothing. How people knew about other people, man. That's crazy, right? It's like there's no social media right now. It's so much like. How was it? Remember?
Books,
Like,
magazines.
books,
You had to-
magazines, articles.
You had
Like
to look at the old print media.
Ooh, archaic. But it is actually, it's a double-edged sword. There's the bad side, because you have the trolls and people who just feel like
Trolls.
they have every right to give any opinion, and just because it pops in their head, it needs to come out their mouth. But the other thing is, it's a great way of getting really good information out there.
Exactly.
And for people to. And so as far as the program's concerned, for them to see, hey, man, I made weight, I felt great, didn't have to starve myself. That could speak volumes to the young up-and-comers who feel like they've got to do it old school or, starve themselves or do whatever.
And then the other thing that I was gonna bring up too with your program is that you get, when you work with you get a lot of like good clean supplements, right?
Yeah,
You get
that
a lot
was-
of selected stuff that, and your program is pretty inexpensive, I would say, and I think
yeah.
it doesn't do financially.
Yeah.
It could be something that takes on its own. Meaning where you could charge crazy money, which
Yeah,
some,
if I did it
some
outside, it'd be 10
nutritionists
times
do.
more, probably.
Yeah, but that's kind of like why I think it's also very important for people to realize that it's a good program, man. It doesn't cost a lot of money, and you get
Well, one of the things when I that was important to me is, and it was first when I did the classes, because I drafted the curriculum and I showed it to Heather and Coach Wink, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. These are kind of like the core fundamentals of, I think, what every fighter needs to understand. And I'm not big on having to take like 50 pills a day, because I just don't think that that's realistic. Some people do,
Randy.
some people don't. You know what? He's gotten a lot better.
well, because of
he
you.
has gotten a lot better. Oh my
I
gosh!
go to his room. There's
I'm
like
so
50
proud of him.
freaking
I
pills
am
that
so
are
proud of him.
popping everything. Yeah, we have this kid
Man.
Randy Baker, man. He's awesome guy, man.
Oh,
Awesome
I'm
dude.
so proud of him.
Man.
He's been our experiments in Dave's
Yeah,
stable.
my Russian experiment.
But yeah, and so my thing was, listen, if I'm going to tell these people that they need to take, fish oil or something, then it would behoove me to see if we can't find some companies that could partner with us to do that, because I feel bad just saying, hey, you need to go out and take this, and that, and they're like, well, where do I go? What do I do? And man, hats off to Jacob, because that brother has got the magic on him. But Heather said, give me a list. What are the top companies? And I did. I gave her top of the line, top tier companies that I've personally used for like 2 decades. And we're like, okay, this is the best in fish oil. This is the best in flax. This is the best. Barleans.
Barleans. Yeah. One of them.
And-
MRM Sport.
And we got them on.
And now they're our
which
sponsors.
was which was such a blessing.
I take this stuff
I mean,
all the time.
MRM, their BCAAs. I mean, that's what sold me on the company, was the fact that it doesn't have any artificial crap in
Yeah,
it.
their digestive
and that's
stuff.
what I'm so big on is the quality, because there are a gazillion
Oh my God! Like that's what.
companies out there,
Yeah.
and I'm so picky about that.
That's
kind
what
of
that stuff
'cause
freaks
it's the
me out. Even with all those labels and stuff. Like at least with this now that I have this, at least like I shop with purpose. Like, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll pull it out and say, oh, okay, I can't have this because there's certain things that, But the food industry, I think, has gone insane.
Oh yeah.
Insane.
And
If
you have
they
to-
approved, if they're not approved, it's like I always say, like, you go to the store. So you like, I go to the store, there's eggs, okay? There's eggs, hormone-free, cage-free, no antibiotics, blah, blah, blah. And then next to them, Doesn't say nothing. So are you telling me? Are you telling me? So this is garbage pitch with antibiotics, steroids. You know, hey, pay 50 extra cents and get these eggs. But then, well, if you want to save a little money, go eat this crap.
Yeah,
oh, thank you.
Because these chickens were
oh, don't get me going. Don't get me going.
Yeah, so it's literally disgusting, like, to think about how we human civilization evolved in that. It's more about product, money, feeding population, and then certain.
We're gonna have like hour two.
Yeah, this
talking
is
about the food
the same
supply
thing
in
with
the US.
labels. Like FDA approved, FDA not approved. Like, go figure. Like, you're reading stuff you don't know. Like did they just make it up? Sometimes it almost seems like most of this shit and its claims and things like that just made up of nonsense, just the promotional material, just to push it in public.
Well, and you got to be careful, and that's why.
Like, how do you know what's right, what's wrong?
You have to do a lot of research.
Exactly. It's like,
I mean, you really do. You have to do a lot of research, and
so you gotta go to the store with a book and stand there. On that stuff.
It's tough. I mean, that's why we don't have. I mean, it's not like we have 50 companies that sponsor us. We're real picky on who we want because we want quality because you got to know what's in it because that's the other thing is what's sourced. Where are they getting it? What else is in it? If it's a proprietary blend. Okay, I mean, I understand why it's proprietary because you want to protect, the formula, but what's in it? What's the percentage of what's in it, of the ingredients? And you just have to be super, super careful. And unfortunately, the supplement weight loss industry is I think they're saying it's going to be like $1 trillion. It used to be billions, but I think it's like $1 trillion industry now.
They play in your brain. They play in your psychology. They screw with your head because you're overweight. You're going to go and seek help. And you're going to seek help in a variety of ways, and you're going to capitalize on it.
Yeah, and everybody wants a quick fix.
Yeah, everyone wants the quick, but it doesn't exist.
No, and that kind of circles back to what makes us different here is that I try to get the fighters to sign on with me early because the earlier we do it, the easier it is, man. 100%. The easier it is because it doesn't have to be horrible. It really doesn't. It does not have to be this awful process where you starve yourself and you feel like crap.
So ideally, if a fighter is looking to hire you for their weight management and such, what would be the time frame for them to give you a call, say, hey, I'm going to be there in a couple weeks. My fight's 6 weeks out.
So we have Dr. Anita's comfort level, and then we have the fighter's comfort level. And I'm always trying to find the balance between the two.
And fighter's comfort level is at the end last 10 days. Help! Help!
That's exactly it. I'm like, 20 pounds in 12 days?
And then you're like, don't worry, we'll get it.
Yeah,
I'm going to do that the archaic way.
But you've done it. Many times.
I have on a couple, and then there's been some times where I've had to call the coach, and I'm like, I don't think that there's any safe way to do. Because that's the other thing is I'm very straightforward because
you have to be.
I understand that for the fighter,
like a doctor.
The fight is the most important thing to them, but for me,
the health,
they're the most important thing. I'm like, no offense, but screw the fight if you're not healthy. That's just not worth it to me.
And Wink will listen to you.
And I'm not going to, he will. And, I'm not going to do something stupid, and I would certainly never, like if I had someone that's like, hey, doc, I need to lose 15 pounds in 24 hours. I'm like, don't come to me, man. No offense, but I'm not going to, because there's nothing healthy about it. I mean, that's just, the danger's too high, but I think part of it depends on how much weight they have to lose. I mean, if we're looking at, they want to lose 20 pounds, then depending on if it's male or female or what their body fat ratio and that kind of stuff. I mean, I prefer to have at least, 4 to 8 weeks.
4 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
So
I mean, and I think part of it is also just going to depend on
because you make adjustments. I've seen you make adjustments. In food and ratios.
Yeah, most people have like 3 or 4
that.
plans.
It's like you write down. You have a book like this.
Then I had to break up. Got so big. So I
tracking
volume 1 and volume 2.
So what's your record that someone had to lose? How many pounds?
Oh gosh, let me think.
Over 10, over 20.
Sure.
Oh, that they've had to. And what's the time frame?
Just starting off, I guess.
3 weeks, 4 weeks out.
I've had somebody. Let's see. I've had someone who had to lose 30.
30 pounds in a month.
No, I wasn't a month.
Okay.
It was a little longer. In a month, I'm trying to think.
But you've had them as
I
high
think-
as 30 pounds, so that's
Yeah.
It's a lot of
great.
weight.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of weight to cut.
Yeah.
That's why you gotta start early, gradually take it
Yeah.
down,
And-
healthy way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that person did it early. You know, they were smart on that one.
So as they say, trust the process. You know.
Yeah, they
You
knew
gotta
coming
trust-
in. They're like, you know,
Because people have been burned too much, like in the
yeah.
sport, by like all this wannabe nutritionists. That because like just with managers and many other things in the sport, when the sport is on the rise, you know, there's no qualification really to become, you know, whoever,
Nutrition
or
coach,
nutrition coach or a manager, or like if in the NFL, right? You have to even to become a manager, you have to be like I think certified in a certain way, right? Yeah, you can't just proclaim yourself. Oh, yeah, I'm the manager. You know, so same thing with nutritionists. There's so many. Like I've been in sports, like, what are you? How are you? You know how to cook? You know?
It's hard, and I think that because there's such an overlap between MMA and bodybuilding, like you know, not that the sports overlap, but a lot of the information. You know, if guys want to gain muscle, a lot of them get their information from like the bodybuilding community, which is totally different.
And you've been in the fitness industry for all your life, right? Because I know you competed
Not
not
all
all,
my,
but
no.
but a lot.
I was like the chunky monkey.
yeah, she's got
But
her
didn't
own
you
little
compete?
personal story.
I did compete. Yeah,
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 you
I competed a few
competed?
But
years ago. Yeah.
before all the competitions and all that stuff,
yeah.
you tell stories about how you were just super
I was,
overweight. and
I was
you
a
were-
chunky man. Yeah, I got a picture in there, but yeah, I was the.
Tell us about that. What
Oh,
made you just
let's
tell-
not.
well,
Let's
how
not.
did
No.
this- how-
So you know, it's funny because it's like sometimes, you know, when God has a plan for your life, and you're like, no, I'm going to go this way. He'll like re-divert you and bring you on
Yeah.
back. So like when I grew up, my grandmother, and grandfather on my dad's side were medical doctors, and my grandmother also had a degree in nutrition, and she set up like the first women's clinic in California, in the Berkeley area.
That's cool.
And I can remember I was in junior high, and she wanted me to learn about nutrition and was going to pay me like a ton of money just to read this book and then take exams. So she like planted that seed. And I did it because, you know, I wanted the money, but I was like, I'm just not into this at all. I'm just not into any of this. So that's why I laugh, because, you know, I've come full circle. So
And now
then,
you're all about that life.
yeah. And so, like, my whole background is, you know, I was always a little overweight. I was a little bigger than, I wasn't fat in retrospect. You know, I was, you know, when I was in school, you had to be the skinny, you know,
I think
Gloria Vanderbilt
Well,
jeans.
I think it's still
and-
like that, actually, with
and-
the whole
People
bullying issue.
stereotype all
Now.
the
Yeah,
time.
but you know, J-Lo did a lot for the girls with the
At least let them,
with the
at least
curves.
let them have an ass,
yeah,
at least. Yeah.
yeah. And so, you know, and then I did the typical, you know, go to college, too much beer and pizza, late nights, you know, partying, all, you know,
College life,
studying.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, freshman 15, and I got bigger, and then I started having some kind of like health issues and stuff, and it's actually how I met my husband. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to get in shape. Now it's time to get in shape. And I just kind of started on this journey, and then Scott's always been really, really active. And then, so I would say probably about 25 is when I started really just changing my whole lifestyle. And it was funny because it was like, my issue was not that I never wanted to be healthy and I didn't know what to eat. My issue was I didn't understand like the why behind the bad stuff. Like my grandmother always, don't eat, you know, soda. I'm like, well, but why? You know, because it's and that's what I've.
The grandma way of telling you is just don't, just because.
Well, yeah,
because I said.
yeah, and I get that. But what I realized is, and it's been a kind of how I approach when I talk to people, and it's, you know, like I wrote a book, and the whole purpose of the book was not that I was providing a bunch of information that was new. I mean, it's been around. I just explain it in a way that explains the why. It's like, okay, don't drink Diet Coke. Don't drink aspartame. Well, why? Is it because, well, it's bad for you? Okay, well, is it bad for me like it's going to give me a zit? Or is it bad for me like it's going to cause cancer in my body? Because those are two totally different things. And if I think it's going to cause cancer, then that's going to give me a little more motivation to, you know, knock it out. And so I kind of went on this journey of just learning more about it. And the more I was learning about food and what I was putting in my body was explaining a lot of the issues that I felt going on. And once I removed that stuff, I started getting healthier. Because like with Misha, I used to get sick all the time. I mean, all the time. And then one thing kind of led to another, and then I got into, I really got into working out. And what I liked doing was just, I happen to like weights. So I've just, always did the weightlifting and training and all of that. And it just kind of morphed to where we are now.
And you also run a pretty successful chiropractic business here in town with Scott, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Del Prete Chiropractic.
Yeah, Del Prete Chiropractic.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years.
Which you helped me a lot,
good.
with my lower back.
Well, good. Yeah, he's awesome.
Never had an issue with my lower back, but it's so good to have such support. We have like everyone here.
Yeah.
Everything you need.
Self-sufficient.
You brought up your book. What plug your book a little bit. What is
my
it?
book. There's the self-plugging.
Yeah.
It's called The Wellness Revolution. Starts with you.
The Wellness Revolution.
It starts with you.
And when did you write that?
I wrote that in 2011.
It's on Amazon, right? Amazon.
I think was it 2011, 2012, 2011. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. It is, if you want to know what my brain looks like, that is the contents of my brain.
Okay.
Well, you're actually a contributor on the Barlians. The Barlians book, the Get Fit Like a Fighter the manual that we did, and there's a lot of information in there with.
Yeah, they did a great job on that.
How to get fit like a fighter. One of our sponsors, Barlians, they collaborated with you guys and really came up with a cool little program.
Yeah, that was supposed. It was so funny because when they first approached us, it was just going to be like a 1 or 2 page little pamphlet.
Yeah, I remember.
And then the next thing I
remember when we all sat
huge
around.
Project.
It was going to just be.
It's great though. I mean, it's got a lot of really good information in there. Really good information.
Let me ask you this: with holiday season, obviously, whenever we experience Thanksgivings and Christmas and New Year's, obviously a lot of people wander off in different direction. It's like So, how does a professional athlete, I guess,
navigate
through such a difficult time of the year?
It's honestly it's moderation. I am, I think I approach things a little differently. A lot of people ask me when I'm working with them, do you believe in cheat days? Can I have a cheat day? Can I have a cheat day? And I don't like that word cheat because it kind of puts food into a bad category, of good or bad. And and when I was younger, I had eating disorders. And so for people who have issues with that kind of stuff, when you put it into a good or bad or cheat day, it just sets you up for beating yourself up when you go out and you have a good time.
Yourself up for failure before.
Well, it kind of is, especially mentally, and it's like all of us have other things we have to deal with. We don't need that added pressure, added stress. Same thing with fighters. I mean, they're worried enough about their fights. The last thing they need is even more stress of, oh crap, I had a hamburger. It's going to take me, 30 years to burn it off, whatever. So
that's a guilt factor.
It is a guilt factor.
I have a lot too.
And I think it's basically for a fighter, if you live your life of the whole year, if you eat clean and have a pretty healthy diet 80% of the time, then 20% of the time you can enjoy it. I think where you start getting into that danger zone, which you see the fluctuations, is where you have such a crappy cut and you starve yourself for so long to reach a goal. And that's
so dangerous.
It is dangerous. And it's not just endemic to MMA fighting. I mean, you can look at The Biggest Loser. Honestly, if you look at The Biggest Loser and you look at where they are, that's part of the problem.
That's a scam when they do the where are they now? And they show them they've gained all their weight back.
Or a good portion of it is because the body's going to rebound. And it's like the more you starve yourself when you've reached that goal, and you're like, then you just go off the wagon.
Oh, I know.
And so for surviving the holidays, I think the biggest key is, first of all, don't totally deprive yourself. You have to find out, and everybody's functions a little differently, and you kind of have to figure out what's going to work best for you. And what I mean by that is, the big joke in my family is I used to love cookies. I mean, to the point where if there was a plate of cookies, I would eat the cookies, and if you didn't get the cookie before my hand, I would say, would you want it? I have this I remember,
Cookie Monster.
Well, I remember one time, Scott was like, do you want some cookies? No, I'm fine. So I ate all his, you know, because like, hey, you said no, so I'm going to eat it. And then I just learned, you know what? I'm going to have 2 or 3. I'm not going to just totally deprive myself. I'm going to go and I'm going to have a good time. If you're going to eat, go out, but don't stuff yourself. And I think that's what happens is like mentally we get in this place of, oh my God, I haven't had a cheeseburger or a piece of pizza in forever, so I'm just going to gorge and eat.
It's like drug addicts. It's like a relapse. Like you constantly deprive yourself all the time of certain things, and then and then you relapse and you go on a binge or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I think willpower has a lot to do with it. I'm actually reading a good book about willpower right now. Like there's a psychology behind it of how it all works. It's a funny thing to read about, like the way your brain corresponds to these urges and cravings and things like that. There's science behind it. I'm going to pass that book on to you after I finish. It's actually pretty good. Because like a lot of us, don't have strong willpower, and it's 100% true, because that's when we go on to these different worlds of let me take pills to cope with it. Let me go smoke to cope with it. Let me go get drunk to cope with it and stuff like that. But it takes a lot more willpower to say no to it. And
don't take pills. Take CBD oil.
CBD oil, yeah, might as well.
We have a sponsor. I'm sure you've heard about it. We've talked to you about it. So what's your opinion? CBD boutique locally here in town. They have they're a sponsor. And
I want to read something about it. It was Greg posted today one of our.
What have you heard about?
What's my take on it?
Yeah, what's your take?
I have not used it. I think that it's obviously a new product. Well, I shouldn't say
it is still new. It's new to the public.
It's new. I was going to say I don't know that it's necessarily a new product. It's been around. I think it's kind of new to sort of mainstream.
Mainstream
to overuse
exactly
that word.
Yes.
So it's like saying kale is new. Well, no, people have been eating kale for centuries. But this is the balance, because there's not a lot of that I've seen. There's not a lot of empirical evidence, but that doesn't mean there's not a lot of anecdotal evidence, because I know there are a lot of people that have had some real benefit with it. And I think we're going to find this is going to be one of those products that probably over a period of time the science will catch and be like, yeah, we now have a history of 10 years of looking at what has happened, or even 5 years. How is it used in this particular scenario? For whether it's anxiety, I know a lot as far as inflammation, and some other processes that go on in the body. And once you have that history of being able to look back and say, no, look, actually, we have a track record of it, doing some good stuff in the body. I think it's kind of new, and there's, people are just sort of feeling out, well, what exactly do these compounds do? How do they break down? How does it stay in the body? How long does it stay in the body? Does it stay in the fat tissue? All that kind of stuff.
Well, let me read something, a small little paragraph. So from World Health Organization, I guess it's something that's WHO. WHO, exactly. That's what it says. So it says, World Health Organization, medical marijuana has no health risks. Okay, that's what they say. So even the World Health Organization, who is now saying that there aren't any health risks associated with medical marijuana, according to the organization, CBD, the relaxant in cannabis used for medical marijuana, poses no health risks. After months and years of speculation regarding the side effects using CBD, the WHO, World Health Organization, declared that the component is conducive, treatment for epilepsy and palliative care, and is neither dangerous nor addictive.
There you go.
So, and that's coming from
WHO, and they do a very good.
They're big, right?
It's yeah. No. They compile. What they do is they look at data and research from countries all over the world and compile it and then formulate.
I'm going to send it to the CBD friends.
So that's a legitimate. A legitimate study. It's not just
and I think
that's
part
why
of it
we're backing it up, because we all felt like it's the right thing to do.
We're all for people taking things that work for them. Anything that gets them off of a lot of the prescription meds that are just driving people crazy. I mean, turning people into zombies. And
I've been there with my background.
If it works for you, the CBD or the medical marijuana or whatever you're taking, take it. But as long as you're not harming others in the process, go for it. It's pretty much our stance on it.
That's why I'm still like that. That's why I never understand these laws in this country. It's like, I mean, you know, they have federal laws, they have state laws, but it's like, where do you draw that distinction? Okay, so it's okay to own a gun here, but it's not okay to own a gun here. It's okay to get drunk, you know, I mean, to smoke in that state, like Colorado, and get high, but then here you'll get arrested and get freaking 3 years in jail. What is this? I mean,
it's very simple, because federally it's illegal everywhere, but the states have decided, and individual states have decided to legalize it. The federal government has just looked the other way for certain states.
Helpless, and the state says something like in certain states.
Well, the federal government is not helpless.
I would assume federal government would be the.
It's a big fight.
They allowing it to happen.
Well, they're just looking the other way. They're getting a lot of studies like this, and they're saying,
picking battles. It's the feds versus state rights and all of that.
So it's okay for you to go to a doctor and get a shitload of like Oxycontins and stuff, and die from overdose on that. To go to liquor
it's a big
store,
problem.
But then
you can do that in any state.
It's a huge problem.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a huge problem.
But like, yeah, I never get it. I don't understand
it. It's a debate that's going to go for a very, very long time. It's not going to be solved overnight, just like the gun issue that we talk about all the time. But we're going to talk about it, and we appreciate having you on the show about it, because our producer over there, he's laughing at us because I brought up guns. He thought we were going to go off on a tangent.
Now we can go with knives.
Yeah, I got one back here.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna
have a duel, just without guns.
Let's go primitive and go back in time and like screw the guns.
But Dr. Anita, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time, and we'll have you on again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we'll need to.
Thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. It's my
and
pleasure.
Heather is just a blessing. Like some of the most genuine people in this place, and I'll keep saying it.
My pleasure.
Hey, and one more shout out to CBD Boutique. Thanks for helping us out, guys, with putting together a wonderful show. Tune in next Thursday. We'll do it all over again, guys. And thanks for tuning in all across the world. We're finding out. We appreciate every single one of you that tunes in wherever you're at. We are getting ready to launch on iTunes and
all the other
Google Play, all the other podcast formats. We've been putting it off for getting that going, but we should be live next week for that. If you want to come train here, if you want to come train here, go to jacksonwink.com, submit your inquiries or any type of other www.jacksonwink.com. Best way to find out any information about our gym. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in again. We will see you again soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
Bye.
Through these doors walk the greatest fighters in the world.